allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The purpose of this special meeting is advertised to discuss the formation of preliminary and final budget and to discuss and take action on other business which may come before the board.
Dave,
Yes.
here, I'm here, and Zach.
Present.
Okay. Preliminary budget is still very preliminary. We actually have a motion to be on the agenda tonight that will have some effect on the current year budget as well as the preliminary budget for next year. Funds are as tight as we anticipate. They're actually not going to be, though, it's not going to be unmanageable at this point. I'm going to ask that we do some transferring of some funds around, and I'll explain that a little bit later, to help with the budget preparation. There are budget workshops that are set up. What I need to know is whether or not you want to do them as we have in some years, where we've went line item by line item and adjusted the figures to what, what we expect them to be, what we hope they will be, what we plan they will be, or you want a proposed budget brought to you, and then you can take back and digest it and make any corrections that you may feel is necessary. You can tell me how you want to proceed. The budget workshops that are set up, so we do have them already on the schedule. You want to do line item by line item, or you want to do a little bit of both?
I don't know, that'd be my suggestion.
Okay. Zach, anything?
Well, it'll be my first shot at working on a budget for the township, so
Okay.
whatever you guys think's most appropriate to
Well,
work with.
revenue-wise in the township, most of our revenues are pretty easy to determine. Outside of what's comes in from gas, everything else is pretty predictable. The millage will be set, at some point in time, once we do the budget, once the final assessment numbers come out, and we'll know what we'll be able to do as far as tax millage. We do have some items we're going to have to increase in the budget based on current year expenditures, and some items that we could be able to reduce. And then part of that is going to be contingent upon what we do with personnel for the end of the year. I would still, I've suggested that I still think we need to seriously consider before we get into the meat of the winter that we're going to look at staffing and make cuts where necessary. We might be able to stave it off till January, but liquid fuels money won't be here till March. So that's pretty much all we have for preliminary budget at this point. Based on that my discussion, Tammy has had a discussion, a conversation, and a recommendation from PennDOT. They have a person that works with PennDOT, and I can't recall the person's name, but they work with the liquid fuels monies. We do have 82,000, I guess, something like that in liquid fuels. I instructed Tammy to look through the current year expenditures to see where we bought things that were paid for with general fund, and they actually could be paid for with state fund liquid fuels money, even though we haven't done that in the past. I asked her to prepare some transfers, or a transfer, to reimburse the general fund for items which could have been paid for out of liquid fuels. That amount of money would be to transfer $32,800 $92.44 by way of a general fund check, and the motion would say, based on conversation / recommendation from PennDOT, motion to transfer by the way of a check from liquid fuels fund to the general fund, the amount of $32,892.44 to reimburse the general fund for eligible expenses. I'll make that as form of a motion. I'll break it down for you. $16,468.93 is the payment on the Ford F-550. $11,448.41 is street lighting, and we'll also probably pay for the street lighting that we have remaining for the rest of the year out of there. Signage, the signs that we put up around town here and some of the other signs that we bought come to $4,975.10, and those would also be included in that list of monies or paybacks, I guess, to that fund, but I do make that as a motion.
I'll second it.
Is there any questions?
Just had a question about liquid fuels.
Yep.
Is that money that if we don't use it during the year, we have to give it back? It has to be used for certain
No,
things, or?
They don't mind you having some carryover. They don't like you to have very much, and they don't like you to write very many checks. The auditors will tell you that because they don't wanna, they have to come in and
Has to be clean.
clean, and they don't want a lot, they don't want to spend much time here. And when those auditors come, state auditors, they're in here and out of here, and no matter, sometimes it's the same afternoon. They don't spend a lot of time, so you don't have a lot of checks to look at it.
So that's why you wrote that, the way you just explained
Yes.
that, one motion to go, all those different, like the truck, all the different payments, and it's just one check, and you.
So minimize the number of checks. That makes it, seems to make them happy. You know, it doesn't, I suppose we could break it all down and do, break a lot of other checks, but, you know, we've always had really good audits from them.
And the other question that I had with the budget, with those funds, I had heard, I don't know how much truth there was to it, that Act 13 money was going to go away.
We're not budgeting any dollars.
So there's no budget for that, if that's money, it's a gift, it's extra? Okay.
That's why we've never designated it in a
That money to
budget.
go into the budget.
It's never been used for, general operating items. It's always above extra things that we could live without if we didn't have them. Because we knew at some point in time, although there is some evidence that it may come back, but we don't, you know, we're not gonna plan on it at this point. If it
That's
does,
all.
it's great.
Only question I had
Yeah,
for that.
yeah.
Do you have a question?
Is there any other ones that you guys can switch up to get some more money back in the general fund that you could have paid?
There's a couple, well, we have a few more items before the year's over with. We have the annual payment on the Peterbilt truck, is it over 20 year, and that's going to hit it. And we're also gonna hit the, probably, their streetlights for the remainder of the year, like streetlights around, the streetlights here in town, the streetlights up in Claysville, those are township streetlights. We'll pay for those. I'm thinking, Tammy, if I remember correctly, she'll have it down to under 20,000, and that'll leave half of that money for our salt allocation for 2016, and then we'll leave half the salt allocation for 2017 wintertime. So that should account for that 20 grand, or approximately 20 grand. And we'll leave that back to pay to buy salt. We thought we were gonna be able to pay back a lot of the stone that we bought, but it didn't meet the state qualifications for payback from liquid fuels. We got cheaper materials, didn't meet state specs as far as liquid fuels goes.
So if it doesn't meet state specs, they won't pay for it.
They won't pay for it. We can pay for it general fund, but they won't pay for it out of state fund.
So you have to pay a higher price for a
Yes.
stone to
Yes.
get some money back.
Yes,
So is it really a win, or it must not be?
we've been going this route for several years, it seems to work. You know, I don't know, but you're right, it's basically a trade-off. Yeah, it's kinda crazy, but it's one of those things. Okay,
Any other questions? How you vote?
yep,
Yes.
Yes. Resolution 9 of 2016, taking a stance to oppose any reduction in LSA grant funding.
this came in from the actually came in from South Franklin Township Manager Tyler Lake. I think it came from the sign at the bottom. He is the president of the Washington County Association of Township Officials. And some of you may know there has been some changes, or a court case, I guess, in this, in the local share funds. And there's a jeopardy as far as whether or not it's gonna be local share monies. That's money that comes from gambling, split up among the municipalities, and the organizations can apply for it. There is some thought that it might go away. We've never had we never have had much money, we've never gotten much of it here, not in recent years. It says here, resolution, Dial Township, Washington County, Pennsylvania, opposing any amendments to the local share assessment that would reduce the amount of allocation to host the contiguous municipalities and counties. You're welcome, if anybody wants to read it before we adopt it, it's here. But it's just basically, it has no binding effect, it just says that we support not changing it. I would make a motion that we would take a stance and vote yes on that and send that to them.
I'll second.
Any questions? How you vote?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to pay bills and sign checks.
One other, just to come under, I don't think it requires action, but we will note it in there. This is from Southwest Energy, Southwest SWN Production Company, in regards to their request when they were in here last regular meeting to talk about their, what do they call them, they vibrate the ground.
Seismic.
They have wanting us to give them some permission to do that. I guess we didn't officially grant them permission, we granted their road, we granted their permits to, the road bonding.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't actually give them permission to do the act. And there's a request for that, and that came in since the last meeting. I don't know if it requires action, but if you want to take action, we can do it.
Do it before a motion.
I'll move that we grant them the permission, we have no objection. I like that better. We have no objection to their seismographic testing, whatever they're gonna be doing.
I'll second.
Any questions? How you vote?
Let me get this down here.
That guy was persistent, that's a guy that met me over at the store.
Mhm.
Okay. Did you get a public comment already?
Yeah, Zach seconded. How you?
Did you public comment?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Motion to pay bills and sign checks as presented.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? How you vote?
Yes.
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 Or just write them up.
Yeah.
I do have one question. Do you all three have to sign each one of them, or do you get to sign each one individually?
Requires three
It requires 3 signatures, any.
So every one of them has to be signed by all three?
No, if we choose not to sign, Tammy can sign. Our time is that there's, we can't get 3 signatures, but we typically, in the past, have come in individually and signed them. And sometimes that didn't work out, and everybody wasn't always available. Was your water off today?
Hmm?
Was your water off?
For a while today.
Yeah. From the issue they had. They're,
The valve quit, the valve was fine until they turned
Yeah.
it off.
well, they're exercising the valves.
Well, Tom come down to right there in front of the store because they had to turn that hydrant on today to let some pressure off. And it washed all the stone down the road and, he asked me if I wanted to have any stone replaced in there. I told him no, but when he was there, he told me, he said that valve did not leak until they turned it. As soon as they turned it,
That's what I
it
told
was
him.
done.
That's $600 when that happens.
Well, I know they
That's
dug
just
out,
the valve.
they dug 2 or 3 different spots in the road that Carl Shaner was down there too. They said, I know that they're trying to find the ones that,
They got covered over for years.
yeah,
You know, in order to shut the system down in sections, so they can find out where the leakage is, they get the valves have to work,
right.
so.
Well, I think that little bit of money we're gonna spend now is gonna save a lot of money on all the leaks in the long run.
Well, they probably ought to be able to close once a year, the big valves. If you ever haven't really needed, you have troubles if you couldn't get them closed. Yeah, that's the problem with some of the grinder pumps going down too. I found out that we own the grinder pumps, and there's 18 electric meters running them.
Hmm.
At our expense.
You used to sell them, didn't you?
Mhm. I used to work at Camden. Know all about that stuff.
I didn't know we had an individual electric meter for them.
Yeah, there's one in my yard.
You have a grinder pump?
Mhm. Well, it goes from, it's I'm on the end of the line.
Just one house on it?
No, there's Flu Hardee's
I think
and
that-
Wheelers.
That's why they end up with grinder pumps, they put multiple houses on it.
Now, there's some that only have one on them,
Yeah,
but where I'm at, because we're at the end of the line, there's,
that's why the township and or the authority ended up with them, because you had multiple families on them.
yeah, but the one with one break just as much, 1 with 3.
I don't suppose they take much electric to run them, but they probably have a base charge on the power. All done?
Yeah, Zach's got a couple more of those on.
2 more.
That puts the general fund after this check run to $146,550.65. Water and sewer accounts, that's at $70,240.29, which is healthier than it's been for a while. Act 13, still at $647,219.15. Still an outstanding payment there to the West Alexander Firemen, that we haven't written a check yet. Liquid fuels, has been reduced from 82,000 down to 49,336.59. Capital reserve, Pliget, which can be used for equipment, and there's been some talk of some new equipment in the coming year, and if they decide to do that, they could use part of this fund for that. $21,227.08. Parks and Rec account hasn't changed. I guess it has. We pay the light bill. We pay the light bill on the flagpole in the middle of town. We pay the light on bill for the what's the same bill for the lights on the basketball court. That was a town project, and we do the Park and Recreation Commission has always footed that bill, and they're still footing it. $9.98 worth. They have $4,889.24. The road bonding escrow account is just growing all the time. I don't know, they don't come back and ask for their money back. I don't know what you're gonna do. $97,000 in it now.
Well, how long can you hold it before you don't have to give it back?
I don't know. It's growing. When they're done with the project, they're supposed to come in and ask for it. Still, it's
Maybe they just think you're gonna use, or they screwed up enough where they don't, it's used.
I don't know.
You'd think they'd ask for some kind of itemized bill.
Fire insurance escrow fund, is zero. I know that Ed Shingle had some comments about that fund. I don't think, maybe didn't understand how it works. There's an ordinance that says if your house burns down, that percentage of your fire insurance proceeds is designated for the demolition and cleanup of it. Ensures that it gets done. That it gets escrowed, and
Okay.
when they finish that project, they get a certification of completion. We give the money entirely back to them, whatever's left. That's how that works, and we went through the same process at least 3 or 4 times in the last year. Was it at least 3 times this past year, I think. We had houses or garages that burned and short proceeds went in escrow. That's how that works.
That it?
I'm just talking.
Any other comments? Motion to adjourn.
You mean open for any question? Zach, I want to tell you, Tammy asked me about the water, what I asked you about.
Mm-hmm.
And after I asked her, she said that's up to the supervisors. What I asked her, I don't know, I asked, Dave was there, what designates commercial water to be commercial?
I know, I talked to her about it. She's investigating,
Okay,
see what we have, and,
Yeah, I talked to her about that, end of last week. So I haven't heard back from her.
well, she's
Okay.
still looking for,
Because they were looking through the
Yeah.
files to see what they could find.
it's,
We'll try to get you an answer.
most places that I've seen been involved with, based on the size of the water line, or the size of the meter.
right.
That's how most places designated. I'm not seeing what, it's been done here the way it's always been done here, whatever that means, we've not changed it.
Well, it did change though.
Not,
It changed for me.
I know in particular on your account, from what I understand, it was 2014, that change was
No,
made
it
on
changed in January 2016
It changed in January 16.
on the water.
Yeah.
on the
That's
sewage.
that's not what she told me.
It changed on the sewage.
Yeah, they changed, the water changed once in
2014.
14, and then the
You
sewage.
said the water and sewage were different times?
Yeah,
No,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I don't make any, that's why.
I know, but for the longest time, I was just paying commercial water, and I didn't
Yeah.
really
It should be, whatever one is, the other one should match.
should match, you're
Should match
right,
it.
but then I paid, what was it, we paid commercial water, and we paid residential sewage for like a year and a half, and then we went to commercial water and sewage.
Well,
And we had done some research on that, because I asked him, I said, well, what makes commercial commercial?
right. I spoke with some people that were on a person that was on the authority when they developed the water and sewage, and he thought that it was based on the size of the line, but he couldn't recall for certain. So
That's what's written in the resolution.
Well, we need to know where that is, and we're not familiar with all that information, so.
It was just, I know it
Somebody
changed.
wants to point that out, then we'll go by what the resolution says. You know, it's not a problem. You gotta be consistent across the board. How you handle with one, you gotta handle with everybody.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that their office's interpretation was, if a person was running a business and collecting revenue at that location, that's been commercial. That's not the way it works. Even in gas meters, they basically, your gas bill on how big of a meter you have, how big of inlet you have on your meter. You know, so the more capability you have to have gas, the higher you're gonna pay.
Yeah, I talked to
Yeah.
Wheeling the other day, and theirs is based on the size of the meter.
That's what most are.
She said, we have commercial buildings that pay residential water because their meter doesn't need to be
They
large.
don't have a large usage.
Right.
Correct. She said, so
Yeah, we'll get you an answer. So if you wanna tell us where that's at, so we don't.
I will
That's
have to go
much
home and
time.
look at it again, so.
Other than that,
Questions?
that's the only question I had, so I guess we'll just leave that. Well, we're gonna go a little further pursue to find out why I've been paying.
Well, we're gonna find out what the resolution says it should be,
Okay,
and then we'll make it consistent.
thank you.
I'll follow up with Tammy again tomorrow, ask her what if anything they come up with.
Well, she told me it worked off of, if you were making money on it, you had to pay commercial. I was like, I don't think it works like
Well,
that.
that was her interpretation of it, that's not.
Yeah, because that
May
was
not
2
be
days
what
ago
the-
when you came down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Any questions? How you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know how you can do that. You?
But
I was never good at key points.
Yeah, either of you going back in,
Yep.
I'll put that on our back table, I'll pull it off the back table.
Well, say listen,
I've got a whole pocket full of
But
them,
that,
I've been taking them out of here.
hey Dave, next time
we
bring
were
a gun
done.
for us.
Yeah, huh?
Mine just died.
I saw
Those
that.
nails look neat.
those are cool.
I seen Lexington's, I didn't see yours. You got a spider and a spider web.
Is it a new sign or old sign?
Reflector sign.
Okay, let's put it wrong.
Yeah, and also
How they spell it out there?
2 E's, no A. And we have a regular, a drainage pipe.
I'm done.
Yeah.
The water's better.
It's gonna.
Going all right.
Automatically.
Was it- Is it right at the intersection?
It's right along Breeze Road.
I thought that was your truck.
Coming down on Breeze Road.
Why are you-
I'm not sure who that was.
Is it
Okay.
It's along the edge of the